Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse podcast. This is episode number 302. My name is Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good.
All right. I'm sick, so I apologize if I sound more nasally than normal. I came down with something, Friday night. I had a little tickle in my throat. I was concerned. I was like, this is going to turn into something. I can always tell because I got the little tickle in the evening. And then Saturday morning, I wake up, throat on fire. Just horrible. Now, it calmed down a little bit throughout the day yesterday. Today, I've moved on to the congestion phase of the illness.
Nice. That's my favorite part.
Honestly, I'd rather have congestion than the horrible sore throat. Because when I get sick, my throat is it's so bad. It just feels like there's a little person standing in the back of my throat, just constantly slicing my tonsils with razors.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's that sounds kind of intense.
I'm also at the point now, I don't know if this has ever happened to you when you're sick, but like it feels like your hair hurts. Like you have that, like your scalp it hurts.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that's a weird feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure that there's a scientific explanation for that, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, it's like, oh, my hair hurts today. I'm definitely sick because my hair hurts. So anyway, I'm gonna try to plug through this today and try to cough and sneeze and be gross as much as I can off the mic. So
yeah, I do it on mic.
Okay. I'll keep everything in and then I'll just like put everything together and put it at the end of the show as a stinger.
A little montage.
Yeah, have all the coughing and sniffling at the end. I'm not actually going to do that. This week on the show, we'll be discussing Jeremy Saulnier's Hold the Dark, along with some we'll be watching on the watch list and going over this week's new releases in theaters, VOD, and a Blu-ray. Just quick housekeeping news. If you haven't been keeping up with Film Pulse Selects, be sure to do that. We're still releasing every other week. We're releasing a new film. Usually they're short films. Sometimes they're features. If you go to the website and click on the Film Pulse Selects link, or you can go to filmpulseselects.com and see all of our latest stuff. There's going to be a new one dropping this week. Also, we are going to be recording the next episode of Saved by the 90s, which is our Halloween special. I'm very excited for that. So keep a lookout for that. Follow us on our Twitter page for that. It's at 90spod to stay up to date on when we're going to be releasing that. We don't have a date just yet. With that being said, let's jump into our review. We're talking about Jeremy Saulnier's Hold the Dark. All right, I have a synopsis here. After the deaths of 3 children suspected to be killed by wolves, writer Russell Core is hired by the parents of a missing 6-year-old boy to track down and locate their son in the Alaskan wilderness. Now, Kevin, I'm a huge fan of Jeremy Saulnier's films. You're not so much. Like, I think if I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but you were okay with Blue Ruin, not so much on Green Room, right?
No, I actually like Blue Ruin.
Okay.
A good deal. Green Room, so this was some kind of like in between. On the fence, I guess you could say.
So with Hold the Dark, what did that tip the scales for you?
Tipped it a little bit. Now guess which side did it tip it to?
I'm guessing negative.
No, positive.
Oh, good.
Actually, I enjoyed Hold the Dark. Thought it was fairly straightforward. Just got into it. The only thing that the only negative that I would really have for it is the whole the cursed narrative about how like the I don't know if it was the mother is cursed, and the cute little town is cursed and all. That didn't really feel fleshed out to me. It kind of felt like we got dropped into the middle of that, like we were just supposed to know. And they talked about it like vaguely, but they never. I was just like, oh, I guess I just got to take your word for it that maybe it's cursed.
Yeah, I think it's based on some sort of Inuit folklore or something, maybe. But evidently, their family, the family of the missing boy, is cursed.
I guess.
But yeah, I completely agree that they didn't really flesh that out too much. So it was kind of hard to decipher, because there were a lot of like things, little lines that they would say that sort of referenced that almost supernatural element to the film, but they just never quite went into it at all. Like there would be like weird things, like they were always talking about the sky and stuff that they just never really expanded upon. So yeah, I was a little confused about that, but for me, I think like for you, it didn't really bring the movie down too much for me. It was a quibble, but I enjoyed the film as well. I figured I would. I think that I wasn't as high on this as I was Green Room or Blue Ruin, but this was still a pretty solid effort. And it's definitely, I don't know if it's, I want to say it's definitely his biggest movie, but looking back, I'm not sure. It seems grander in scale than his other films.
Yeah.
And it definitely has it has more polish on it. It feels like more of a mainstream film, if that makes sense. Where
I can see that.
But it still holds that style that that I know him for, mostly being the incredible realistic and grisly violence that he brings into his movies.
That is definitely there. It is still there.
And also I feel like this movie is a little bit mismarketed in that you see the trailer, you read the synopsis, and you think that this movie is going to be about Jeffrey Wright heading out into the wilderness, hunting down a pack of wolves that killed a boy, right? That's what you think going into it. And, if you see the trailer, that there's some maybe cult-like elements, because you see like little glimpses of the masks that they have, and you think maybe there's some sort of like maybe ritualistic things that are happening here. And that I think it gives you hints that Alexander Skarsgård, his character, who is the husband and the father of the boy who's gone missing, you think something's not quite right there, but really the movie is wildly different than what you may expect.
Because that whole idea is upended pretty early.
Yeah, I mean within the first act.
And there's not much of Jeffrey Wright really doing much of anything in the wilderness for a large portion of this movie. He almost disappears a little bit.
Yeah, we do.
But and that was another thing that was kind of a quibble for me, I was kind of disappointed that once again, after watching Mandy and now this, where it kind of just, you have all these elements and then it just sort of devolves into just kind of like a straightforward revenge thing, where it's just taking people out and people get in his way, take them out. And it's just, that's another thing I still enjoyed it, but it was kind of a disappointment, a little bit of a letdown, because I thought it was going to be more of this, like the Alaskan wilderness and hunting wolves and
and there's a little bit of that in there, but that's definitely not the focal point of the film. It's definitely more about Jeffrey Wright and the police versus Alexander Skarsgård. I don't want to give anything more away than that because I feel like the hook, like one of the big moments, is discovering that this is not about, you know, him hunting wolves.
And I was a little bit trepidatious at the beginning because I'm like, okay, you have two things that you're dealing with that could leave a really bad taste in my mouth. One is this whole wolves being bad and need to be hunted down. And then when you introduce the natives into it, and he's kind of going off a little bit of like the folklore and stuff, it's just I was a little bit worried that those two things were going to be handled poorly, which I don't really think they were.
No, I don't think they were either. I thought that they were handled respectfully. I mean, obviously, I'm not an authority on Native Alaskan culture, so I can't say for sure, but it didn't feel exploitative or anything like that to me.
Yeah, I mean, we could be way off base, and maybe it was, but I didn't sense that.
Certainly not with the wolf angle. I didn't think that they were making wolves out to be these like ruthless, bloodthirsty killers or anything. I mean, early on we see a pretty tough shot of the wolves eating one of their own cubs, and that lets Jeffrey Wright know right away that there's something going on there. There's they don't have a food source or something like that, and I feel like it doesn't make the wolves out to be villainous.
No, because they almost completely, it gets upended and the wolves are just kind of like gone for most of the movie. Like it's not about wolves at all. They merely exist as a metaphor.
Yeah.
Metaphor wolves. You know?
Yeah. Meta wolves all over the place. What'd you think about performances?
I thought the guy that played Cheon, Julian Black Antelope, I thought he was great. Jeffrey Wright was okay. Performance wise, he was fine. The way his character was written was a little bit of a bummer because he really didn't have much to him. He's just really, really soft-spoken.
Mm-hmm.
I did enjoy the way that he reacted when things were about to be terrible and he couldn't muster the strength to say anything out loud. He would just kind of be like, hey.
Yeah, because that's how it would be. A lot of the characters, most of the characters were very stoic, and there wasn't a ton of dialogue in this. Skarsgård played a character that he should be familiar with by this point, where he barely says anything at all.
Yeah, that was another thing that I found slightly where not only does it devolve into this kind of straightforward revenge thing, I mean, it has some little trinkets of folklore and everything, the mask and whatnot, but his character was just, there wasn't really anything to him. He was just kind of bland in one note.
Yeah, he was, I felt he was a complex character, but we just didn't really get to dive into that complexity due to the circumstances with which he was brought back home. When they introduce him, he's in Fallujah. Is it? I don't know where, because that was, they showed that on the TV. I don't know exactly where he was deployed, but he was a soldier in the war. And there's something pretty horrific that happens when he's introduced, and that to me sets up the character, but it doesn't really dive too deeply into who this guy is. We see his actions, but we don't really know the thought process behind a lot of the decisions that he makes. And I'm sure that's by design. They don't want to like do any kind of like exposition dumps or anything to explain it. But I don't know.
But again, it's fairly disappointing because it seems like he just gets zeroed in on this one goal, and anyone that gets in the way, you're gone, you're dispatched. But for a movie that's 2 hours and 5 minutes long, I would think that you have some time in there to maybe flesh out Skarsgård's character, maybe it's introduce a little bit more of the so-called curse.
Maybe the book, because this is based on a novel, which I haven't read, so maybe the novel explains that a little bit more. Or maybe it doesn't explain it at all, and that's why the film
Maybe.
is so sort of cryptic about the characters and the lore behind it.
But it also, I got the sense that it felt kind of like Skarsgård's, what he was doing. At a certain point, he kind of breaks off from the story, and it felt like that section of it just kind of got detached from the main film, where it just felt like kind of this own standalone thing that was happening. That when they went to that, when they kind of cut away from what was going on with the police and Cheon and Jeffrey Wright's character, and when they come over to Skarsgård, I was kind of like, I don't like the Skarsgård stuff. Go back to everyone else.
Yeah,
because the dude's just walking around. And he's not saying shit. Like
it's like a slasher movie. It like turns into the Skarsgård stuff's like a slasher movie.
It felt like almost a different movie.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was more exciting when, like, sort of after the Cheon stuff, where it turned into more of a cat and mouse game, where they're trying desperately to catch up to Skarsgård. His name is Vernon Sloan. Trying to catch up with him before he reached his wife, Medora Sloan, played by Riley Keough. I got to talk about that shootout. I'm going to keep it vague. I don't want to give anything away, but there's an incredible, extended, very long shootout sequence that was very exciting, very tense, and so, the thing about Saulnier's movies is that and I mentioned it earlier, the violence, when he incorporates violence, it's not like wall to wall violent or anything, but when he does put it in, it feels so real and visceral that it's almost disturbing. You see other movies that have shootouts and they don't really affect you, right? They're just like, oh, it's a shootout in this action movie or thriller or whatever. But when he does it, it's done on such a gritty, realistic level that you're just like, oh my God. Like, you feel like these people are actually being shot and killed.
Yeah. And see, that was the issue that I had with Green Room, is that one kind of felt nonstop. Once it was introduced, it was just violence, 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 violence. And it was just like, it was too much for me. And because it's so realistic, I was just like, I don't need to see these people just being hurt and killed. Like, I don't want that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not my idea of a good time. Here, at least, it's spread out. But when it does show up, when it is introduced into the room, boy, does it, demand attention.
Yeah, it's
because especially when that shootout starts, and because you're right, it looks real, like really, really real.
Yeah, he's just a master at shooting violence. He incorporates things that I don't know if I've ever seen in movies before. Like, there's one scene involving a bow and arrow and something that happens, and I'm just like, oh, like that there were so many like shocking moments like that happen where I'm just like, oh my God, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
oh my God. And just all the injuries look like genuine injuries. Like, that's what it would look like if you got shot in the face or, got stuck with an arrow or whatever.
Yeah. especially, and I come back to Blue Ruin. I think that was the first thing that
Oh yeah,
kind of got me with that movie when he tries to take the, and you're
yeah.
like, yeah, that's how you can't just pull those out. This is what would happen.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that was the thing that really struck me with Blue Ruin is how real it all looked, and I think that that carries over into his next two films as well. And this one was like it was bigger. Like the shootout was like lots of people involved, whereas his other films it was much more, one versus one or just small groups of people. This was like big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The other films, it felt more personal,
Hmm.
and here it was
Yeah.
like on a big scale. I mean, it's still personal, but the thing I did like about that shootout, with it being bigger and everything, is the way that it kind of ended with Jeffrey Wright,
Hmm.
which I don't know if I've witnessed that, where you have so much violence and so much death and injuries and stuff like that, and then it's essentially almost brought to a halt by a guy just exclaiming, "Stop it," which I thought was interesting.
I also liked the introduction, how that sequence kicked off, where in the background, out of focus, you see the door opening, and you're just like, oh
Yeah.
my god, oh my god, and then
Well,
Jeffrey Wright sees it, and
he does it
oh my
again, where he's
god,
just like, "Hey,
yeah,
hey." But yeah, that, I mean, you can tell that they were slightly amateurish, because Cheon kind of tells you what's going to happen,
oh yeah.
and they did not listen to Cheon, and they paid dearly.
I mean, they said it early on in the film. The sheriff says like these are all rookies, like these
Yeah,
guys have no idea what what this is. They've never experienced anything like this before, and I think that they even said that that town never had a murder in it up until that point. So yeah, they were definitely green. These guys, they had no concept of what they were in for. But I think it's also interesting how they took it to the extreme, like Cheon, for instance, like why did he do that? Like why did he take it to that level? Like what was his play? Like why did he do that?
that was the thing that, once everything kind of kicked off, that's where I kind of felt like, did I miss something? Was like, did I doze off for a second? Like, why is this escalating to the point that it is?
And even the thing that happens prior to that, very shocking moment in the film.
That's what I mean. That's the thing. That moment,
That
like,
where you're
when that's where I was just like, what?
yeah, you're just like, oh, whoa. Like what's going on here? Why is this happening? And I think that maybe some of that is maybe not really, but I was going to say maybe some of that is answered at the very, very end when sort of the truth is revealed, but I still don't think that quite justifies the actions of the people
Yeah,
involved. Either way, I enjoyed this movie. Like the other thing is like his previous two movies, and it's been years and years since I've seen Murder Party, but if I remember correctly, that one can also be included. That his movies prior to this have been very close and intimate. Like everything takes place for the most part indoors in small rooms and things like that. Whereas this one just it's wide open. You're out in the Alaskan wilderness, and
yeah.
I think that opening things up provides a lot more opportunities for him to explore new ways of exhibiting violence, and it worked for me, so I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it for the most part too. I think that, and this is like the first time that he's kind of gone outside of not only are his movies kind of small, intimate, take place in one room or several rooms in one building, that type of thing. It's kind of small scale. This one, like you said, more open. His other films were usually all around hour and a half. They're all 90 minutes.
Yeah.
This one, the runtime's expanded, supposed to be grand and epic, and I don't know if that time was utilized wisely.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I think he could have done a better job there. But overall, for me, it's an upgrade from Green Room.
For me,
for you, it's probably the opposite.
Yeah, for me, it's a little bit of a downgrade. So let's give it a score. What are you going to give Hold the Dark out of 10?
And one other thing because I didn't know that Jeffrey Wright was in this movie, so when he popped up, I was so unbelievably happy.
Oh yeah, I love Jeffrey Wright. I love that he was the protagonist in this film. I also like James Badge Dale a lot, and I mean I think he's a really great character actor, and anything I see him in, I think he's fantastic. And I want to see. I mean, he gets a lot of work, but I want to see him taking more leading roles and taking having a bigger presence in the movies that he's in, because I think he's always so good.
Well, okay. Well, back to the 10. I agree with you. I thought he was great too. But where were we with the?
You didn't give
rating.
You didn't give your score yet.
I gotta give it a score. I give it like a 6.5.
All right,
maybe 7. I might lean towards there.
I'm at a 6.5 on this one. It's like somewhere in between 6.5 and 7 for me as well. Overall, enjoyed it. Couple hiccups, but I mean, as far as a Netflix, now, was there any kind of hesitation being that this is a Netflix movie?
No. I actually, for whatever reason, even though I don't, it's kind of a mixed bag with Netflix movies. You know, there's been some that I liked, some that I haven't liked, some that I just found fucking bland as all hell. But there's still like this tinge of excitement that Friday night I get home from work and we can just go downstairs, get on the couch, and just turn Netflix on and watch a new movie from like an actual, director that I know and am excited about. Like that to me is still really cool. It doesn't always deliver, but just that, to have that is great.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot more of that. I mean, we have the Gareth Evans film Apostle coming out very soon. We have the Timo movie that I'm really excited about, that I've heard a lot of positive buzz around. I can't remember the name of that. It's called Night Comes for Us, I think.
Okay.
The Night Comes for Us.
Nice.
Yeah, look into that one, and you'll get very excited. It brings Iko Uwais back, and he does the fight choreography on it. Apparently, it's just 2 hours of just nonstop violence and fighting, and I'm very excited for it. Anyway, that's Hold the Dark. As we said, it is playing on Netflix now, so you can give it a look. If you're not familiar with Jeremy Saulnier's previous films, I would say give those a look too, because those are well worth your time. Let's move on and talk about some of what we've been watching on the watch list. I think I'll kick it off this week. I am at the New York Film Festival right now, and I can talk about some of these movies that I've been seeing. The first film that I saw was Her Smell. This is the new Alex Ross Perry film that stars Elizabeth Moss as a 90s punk rocker girl, like a riot girl. And it is it sort of reminds me of your standard biopic, like rock and roll biopic, but it's got that Alex Ross Perry spin on it, where the film is comprised of, I believe, 5 acts, and each act is played out in real time, and it plays out it's like a separate time in her career, Elizabeth Moss's career. She's the front woman of this punk rock band, and it's really difficult to watch. I think a lot of people are gonna have a problem with this one, just because it just bombards you with, it's like sensory overload. Her character is so abrasive and difficult to deal with that you almost immediately become exhausted with her presence. And what he does to make it even more difficult and challenging as a viewer is he uses a lot of super close-ups, and he sort of has this ever-present rumble or crowd sound in the background. So there's always noises that are happening, and it like never stops. And then on top of that, you have Elizabeth Moss, who plays this crazy alcoholic drug addict who's just acting completely insane nonstop. And I can understand why a lot of people would have a very hard time enjoying this movie. I, however, did enjoy it quite a bit. Mostly for what they do in the last two acts of the film. I thought that those last two acts really brought everything together, and it was worth getting through the more caustic moments for me. But I think it's maybe one of his best movies. I don't know, I still really like The Color Wheel, but this is probably right up there for me. I'd be curious to see what you think. I think that you're probably not going to like it, but
we'll see. I mean, when it came out, it was announced, and I kind of read the synopsis and everything. I had no interest whatsoever. I was just like, that does not sound like my cup of tea at all. But with you kind of being big on it, I think I'll watch it now. Because I think Golden Exits, because after Queen of Earth, I was kind of like, I found it to be good filmmaking, but overall, I didn't really enjoy it. And the Golden Exits was, ugh. I felt like I was like, I might be done.
Yeah, I mean, the filmmaking is great in this, and it is certainly closer to Queen of Earth than Golden Exits, in that there's actual substance with this one.
Yeah.
And I felt like he played it a little bit too safe with Golden Exits, but at the same time, it's not as annoyingly obtuse as Queen of Earth was.
Yeah.
But I will say that Elizabeth Moss should win an Oscar for this. She is absolutely incredible. Like, this is by far her best performance, and she's had a lot of really great performances. She's just on another level with this. Like, if it turns out that like Lady Gaga gets nominated and wins an Oscar and Elizabeth Moss doesn't, I will forever boycott the Oscars.
I can tell you right now that's going to happen. There's no way Elizabeth Moss is going to get nominated from an Alex Ross Perry movie. I'm telling you right now, just start boycotting.
When you see this, you're just like, holy crap. Like, she completely transforms herself. And the range that she shows in this movie, where, you know, she's playing someone who has serious substance abuse problems. So she's like, you know, got those ups and downs, those highs and lows constantly, where like she's like manic one moment and then completely depressive the next moment, and it's just so good.
Okay, all right. See, I think that's what's gonna get me to watch it, is to see this performance.
Yeah,
because I've heard other people saying this,
and there's everybody in it is great. Like, Eric Stoltz is in it. He plays like the record label owner slash manager maybe, and it
Stoltz?
yeah, and he's great. He's great in it, and it really, to me, it really encapsulates that sort of '90s garage band zine culture very, very nicely.
Okay.
It takes place in the '90s, by the way.
Okay, which that's got you bonus points with you right off the bat.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably had a title card that was like 1994, and you're like 4 stars. Right
No, it didn't.
Starting off 4 stars.
No, it didn't. It didn't have that. But it's very easy to decipher the time period when it starts up.
Gotcha. I watched this is an obscure one. I don't know how you would be able to watch this, but it's called They Do Not Exist. This is from 1974. Director Mustafa Abu Ali, who he worked with Godard, and he was also the one that founded like the film division of the PLO, which is the Palestine Liberation Organization. So this is a documentary where he kind of breaks it up into, he has some footage of people just living in this refugee camp in Lebanon, and then he spends some time with the Palestinian guerrilla fighters. So he's alongside them. He has some footage of Israeli bombardments on this refugee camp and everything, and then the follow up to that is going through the rubble with the people, and kind of puts all this stuff together. It has some political stuff, speeches and whatnot, which for the time period, 1974, it comes off as it's kind of like has at least a sense of hope for Palestine, which makes it kind of difficult watching it in 2018 because you kind of know where it was and where it's at right now. So you don't really sense that hope that seems to be in this movie,
mm-hmm.
but because of being further in the future, it's kind of gone. But it's a tough watch, but it's really interesting to actually. I think this might be the first time I've ever watched like a film from Palestinian cinema.
Interesting. This is called They Do Not Exist from 1974. I saw If Beale Street Could Talk. This is
You son of a bitch.
This is the new Barry Jenkins film. Now, I loved Moonlight, and I felt like, okay, there's a lot that has to live up to Moonlight because I really love that movie. I think it was my number one movie of 2016. Okay. But
all right.
This one, I am happy to say, does live up to Moonlight. It is an absolutely wonderful film. Like I was just so taken by this movie. This is a movie that's going to win. It's going to win many Oscars. It'll be at least be nominated for probably all the big Oscars. I mean, we're talking.
It's got to be.
We're talking.
It's got to be.
Absolutely. I never read the book. I do want to read the book now, by James Baldwin. We talked about this when I'm Not Your Negro came out a couple years ago. Both of us big fans of James Baldwin. I could listen to James Baldwin talk endlessly, and I think that Barry Jenkins taking Baldwin's voice and creating this film out of it, I think that Baldwin would probably be very pleased with the outcome, because it's a love story, and it's not overly politicized, although that is an ever-present thing. I mean, it's about this young couple who they grew up together. They've known each other since they were little kids. They eventually fall in love, and right when that happens, I mean, they're together for a very short amount of time before the man is wrongfully accused of rape and sent to prison. And he's played by Stephen James. Kiki Lane is the the other protagonist, Tish, her name is in the movie. And man, it's a powerful film. It is, the thing that sort of struck me by it was how light a lot of it was. The many of the characters were extremely relatable, extremely likable, and you just it in a lot of ways it was like a feel good movie. Like you believed that these characters were truly meant to be together, and you were just rooting for them the whole time. So the bulk of the film is Tish and her family doing what they can to try to get him out of prison, to get him out, and they're hiring lawyers. They're finding, as it turns out, the victim of this horrible crime went to Puerto Rico. So Tish's mom, played by Regina King, and Regina King also deserves an Oscar for her role. She was just stunning. She goes down to Puerto Rico to find the woman and talk to her. And then there's all these like small moments too. Like Diego Luna's in it, and he plays a friend of Tish, and Fonnie is is Stephen James's character's name. And he's just such a likable, friendly person. He's only in it for maybe 2 or 3 scenes, but he's so good in it. And also Dave Franco is in it. He plays this like realtor, and he's in maybe one of the best scenes of the film. They're looking to buy a loft in the city, and Dave Franco plays this realtor, and it leads to just this such a wonderful, heartfelt scene because because nobody's renting to them, because they're a black couple and they're young. They're not renting to them, and Dave Franco just has no problem with it, and he doesn't understand why people have a problem with it, and it leads to one of the best exchanges in the film. So
I'm so excited.
yeah, high recommendation for me. It's funny. It certainly has plenty of powerful moments, but it's just great. I can't recommend it highly enough. So be sure to see If Beale Street Could Talk as soon as you can, because it's definitely going to be one of the top movies of the year.
I was able to catch Tonsler Park, which is currently playing on Mubi right now. This is a documentary from Kevin Jerome Everson, black and white, 16 millimeter, very straightforward. It's a mostly just camera still, fixated on one individual, kind of in close up from across the room. And the whole movie is just tracking the voting process in Charlottesville, Virginia on Election Day 2016. So it kind of goes around to different precincts, just fixates on one character for a moment at a time, and just kind of camera just stays on them as they do their job duties. You know, it's people working the polls. And with that being across the room, camera across the room, person on the other end, a lot of the time, most of this movie is people standing in front of the camera in line talking to whoever the poll worker is. So you just see like someone's back or waistline, and that's it.
Yeah.
The audio and the video isn't synced up. So you just have this like din of like a community, just a lot of vibrant activity. In the beginning of the movie, it's kind of like the opening of the polls, and that noise level kind of drops or dissipates throughout the movie as the day grows longer. So it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, this is an 80-minute doc, and this again is one of those things where I feel like short films don't get the respect that they deserve, because a lot of times people know that, okay, what I have only constitutes 20 minutes. 18 minutes, 22 minutes, whatever it might be. And to do that with knowing that short films don't really sell, they don't, you know, nothing happens with short films most of the time. And to still do it, and then to have this and stretch it out to 80 minutes, like it'll stay with one person working the polls for like 15, 20 minutes. And it's just people in the way. Occasionally they'll move out of the way and you'll see someone's face, and you're like, oh, okay. I'm not really sure what this person's doing because the audio and video is not actually synced up. So I don't know what their job is. I can kind of guess. But oddly enough, the audio aspect of it is slightly comforting to just hear people bustling about. It's just a shit ton of pleasantries being exchanged. Like, hello, have a good day, move over this way. And it does kind of lull you into this like really comfortable and just kind of fall asleep to it.
It's like one of those ASMR videos.
Yeah. Like, it's really nice, but 80 minutes? No. No.
No, thank you, sir.
No. No. But I mean, there is a deliberate choice being made. It's not random people working the polls. It's all black people working the polls.
Okay.
But again, it's not synced up. There's no like interaction. It's just camera, this person working.
All right. That's Tonsler Park playing on Mubi. I saw The Favorite, directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. Just sighing at me left and right here.
It's just, I'm happy for you, but at the same time, I'm not.
You'll probably get to see this. You'll probably get to see this before the end of the year, I would imagine.
I'm sure I probably will. But it just seems like you're having such a great time. I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you, but I am also jealous. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of big ones lined up all in a row. So The Favorite, I'm a big fan of his previous films. We've talked about him many, many times on the show, all the way back to Dogtooth. I mean, I remember when we first talked about Dogtooth, and we were both just so taken with that movie. It was just.
Well, I think we became pretty smitten with Greek cinema as a whole.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because it was so different than what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, because like Alps was coming out around shortly thereafter, and yeah, I mean
Attenborough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm a big fan of his. I really liked The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which was his last film. This one is a little bit of a departure for him. It is a period piece, takes place in the early 18th century. So 17, I want to say like 17, maybe 05 to 1715, somewhere around there. And it follows the life of Queen Anne, played amazingly by Olivia Colman. She is so funny in this movie. Oh my God. And
yes,
I learned that she's funny in real life too, because there was a press conference right after the screening that I went to, and she was just absolutely hilarious in the press conference. Queen Anne, she's frail. She's very childlike. She's portrayed as sort of this like little girl who just wants to play, and she's just a very goofy character. And Rachel Weisz, who plays Lady Sarah, who's her best friend, but also sort of governs the land while her health is declining. And Emma Stone comes in and she plays Abigail, who is Lady Sarah's cousin. And she's fallen on hard times, and Lady Sarah gives her a job, and she sort of quickly starts climbing up the ranks in order to gain favor with Queen Anne and sort of usurp Rachel Weisz's character for her position. And so you have, so the film turns into this sort of battle of wits between Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz, where they sort of start out as friends, but they start backstabbing each other, and then there's this just back and forth where they're trying to earn the queen's favor and as the title suggests, become the favorite of the queen. And it's not as weird and out there and sort of absurd as Lanthimos's other films. This is it's grounded in a lot of ways, but the humor is still sort of signature Lanthimos in that there's just a lot of weird shit that happens, just kind of oddball things that occur. A lot of the comedy is dialogue driven, because the characters, while they don't speak in like a 100% contemporary vernacular, they'll just sprinkle in these like dialogue bits and lines that are completely contemporary, and it's sort of, it fits so nicely into the tone of the film, because you're just like, oh, okay. Like they'll just say random things that definitely would not be said in the 1700s. Also, there's like this really amazing dance sequence. They have this sort of ball or gala, and there's this dance sequence, and it starts off looking very sort of traditional, of the time, but then they start throwing in these dance moves that are clearly not of that era, and it looks so ridiculous and funny. And it's just a lot of really subtle touches that he incorporates that make everything feel just a little bit off, and it just works so well. And the other thing that he does is he uses a lot, almost exclusively, wide angle lenses, and he uses a lot of fisheye lenses. And that's not something that I think I've ever seen in a period piece like this before, because that's typically a more modern, that gives things a more modern sheen to them. And the way that he does it, so he'll like place the camera in the corner of the room and use either just the super wide angle or a fisheye, and it really just makes these sort of ornate halls and rooms that they're in just really pop. But it also aids in the sort of weird, goofy tone of the film. So there was just a lot that I really enjoyed with this movie. If you're going in expecting the really out there absurdist humor of his previous films, it's not, you might be disappointed because it's not quite there. This is a more traditional comedy, although there are plenty of just shocking, strange things thrown in. But I would say it is definitely one of his most grounded films. That being said, I still loved it. So I would highly recommend The Favorite, and great performances. I don't know if that even needs to be said at this point, but Rachel Weisz was incredible. Emma Stone was great. Nicholas Hoult was really good in it as well, as was Joe Alwyn. So yeah, I would recommend The Favorite.
Good. I'm excited for all these movies that I was already excited for. You're telling me positive things, overly positive things. So I'm even more excited now. I have one last one, and that is, I talked a little bit about short films not getting their due. This one's a short film. It's called Altiplano, which this is one of the best things I've watched in quite some time. Absolutely loved it. Right up my alley. So it's directed by Melina Slam, who is born and raised Chile, currently based out of Montreal. This is 16 millimeter. So what she did is a lot of just still shots of the Andean Mountains, everything that's around that area, the skyline of the mountains, there's salt flats, there's volcanic deserts, there's lakes, there's all sorts of stuff. And then she kind of superimposes them on top of each other, and then superimposes different moons and all sorts of stuff, right? So you have this very vibrant, very colorful, just different textures going on, superimposed on each other. Sometimes they're not superimposed and they're just alone, standalone. And then you also have the music. What soundtracks all of this is just essentially field recordings of inside of volcanoes, the sound of geysers, the sound of blue whales, and she kind of manipulates all of that to kind of soundtrack. And what you end up getting is it takes all these organic elements and creates something really alien out of it. And it almost has this sci-fi feel to it, even though there's no dialogue, there's no nothing, it's just images and it's just the sounds. But it feels like an alien world. It feels very sci-fi, and there's different tones to it based on the music and everything. And it was really interesting. And for me, it was like mesmerizing.
Wow.
I absolutely fucking loved it.
I'm going to have to check this out. This is on Letterboxd. This is very highly rated. A lot of people are singing its praises, and looks like it's only 16 minutes long. So
it's only 16 minutes long. It knows what it's doing. It knows that you can't do this for 80 minutes. No one wants to see this for 80 minutes, but for 16 minutes, sweet spot. Fucking love it.
All right. And that is Altiplano. The last one I'll mention, this is one that was definitely not aware of its runtime, coming in at 148 minutes, and that's Burning by Lee Chang-dong. Now, I was really excited about this movie. I saw the trailer a while back. I heard nothing but great things, and I got to say, this one was a little bit disappointing for me. It is a very, very slow plotting movie about this guy who sort of falls for this girl, and she ends up with this boyfriend played by Steven Yeun, and she goes missing. She's just mysteriously vanishes, and he sets out to find her, and he believes that maybe there's some foul play going on here. He thinks maybe Steven Yeun did something to her. So he's sort of investigating what happened to her, and then he starts investigating Steven Yeun, following him, figuring out what this guy's deal is, because he's very weird. Like, he plays, and Steven Yeun is great in this. He plays sort of a psychopath character, and it's just the problem. And I need to see it again. I don't feel comfortable writing a review for this until I see it again, because I was just zoning out periodically throughout it, and I feel like maybe I missed some key moments, and I just don't quite grasp why so many people were so into this movie. The characters are very rich and deeply developed, and the story, while intriguing, just for me is a little bit too slow, too plotting. It's a little bit of too much of a slow burn for me to really get into it. I feel like it just could have been tightened up so much. You could have accomplished this in 90 minutes, and I feel like I would have got the same thing out of it. So unfortunately, after my first viewing, I just wasn't that big on it.
It goes against everything that I've been seeing.
I know, and that's what I'm like. That's why I feel like I missed something with it, but I was not.
Sometimes it just doesn't connect. Just works out that way.
I mean, I didn't hate it or anything. I thought it was fine. Like, I would probably, if I were to rate it now, I would probably give it like a 6.
Yeah.
But people were just saying this is one of the best movies of the year, and for me, it just didn't quite land. There were a lot of really great moments in it. It looked great, but I feel like maybe the runtime is just what really got me, because it really started to lose me. I don't know, but that's Burning. I do plan on watching it again before the end of the year, just to I mean, assuming that it comes out, just to see if I did, miss some big pivotal moments.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some movies coming out in theaters this week. Got a lot. This is a big week.
I see that.
We got A Star Is Born. Now, I know you're not interested in this one at all, but
No.
there's a lot of buzz. A lot of buzz behind this one. A lot of people singing its praises. I know a lot of our writers are very excited about this one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not, but
I can't say that I am either. But I mean, it is director Bradley Cooper.
still can't get over that, huh?
I can't. I just.
I'll check it out. I'll watch it just for year-end purposes, but I have no expectations going into it. We also have Venom coming out.
Yeah.
At first I was a little bit into this one, but I've cooled on it a little bit since they said it was going to be PG-13, and there was all this kerfuffle about it being toned down to get that rating and stuff. And
it just seems, it's like, based on the trailers, it seems kind of silly.
I'm just not sure how this is gonna work.
The only thing that interests me is Tom Hardy saying that his portrayal of Venom is partly based on Red Man. That's the only thing that makes me go, oh, well, I have to see this then.
I'm kind of interested now, and that kind of intrigues me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be checking it out. I watch most of the superhero movies, so this will be no exception. I love the Spider-Man series, not necessarily the movies, but just the Spider-Man lore. I like the comics, and
so I think Venom's always been my favorite.
Yeah, he's a great
world.
Yeah, he's a great character. So I'll be giving it a look. We also have Shine coming out. This is a film about the New York bachata scene. So it's a dance. It's a dance movie.
All right.
It's not a documentary. It's fiction, but there's a lot of like professional dancers and stuff in it. We have a review for that up on the site, so you can check that out. It looks pretty bad, but not my thing anyway. We got The Hate You Give.
Okay.
What do you think about this one?
Looks all right.
Yeah, it looks really heavy. It looks like it's one of these movies that a lot of people probably should see, but not enough people will see it, and it looks pretty devastating.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the trailer alone is pretty devastating.
This will be one that if I don't see in the theater, I'll definitely be giving it a look before the end of the year. We have Loving Pablo. I feel like this already came out at some point. We already talked about this.
What is this? Is this a Pablo Escobar thing?
Yeah. I know that we talked about this. I don't know if it got pushed back or maybe there was some sort of limited release earlier.
Plus, what is it with Pablo Escobar? It seems like the last 2 years or so, it's just been nonstop projects of his life.
Yeah, and I think that this is the exact conversation we had when we talked about this movie before. And then I said, just watch the Netflix series if you want the whole thing. I'll say that again. Just watch the Netflix series.
Yeah, judging by it. Yeah.
Anyway, we have Private Life coming out.
Okay.
We have Await Further Instructions, which is this pretty cool horror film. I would recommend seeing that one. We have a review for that up on the site. It's this kind of trippy, very Cronenberg-esque horror film where there's lots of like mechanical monsters and things. It's pretty cool. It's about a family who they're at a get together, and they an alert comes up on the TV that just says stay indoors, await further instructions. And the TV sort of locks them in their house and starts giving them orders to do different things.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. We also have Heavy Trip coming out. This is I think it's the Finnish comedy
Okay.
about a death metal band, or no, black metal, I believe.
Get your medals right.
I know. I'm pretty sure it's black metal. Pretty good. This one is odd because when you look at the trailer, when you look at the poster and the marketing materials, it doesn't look like it would necessarily be a feel-good movie, but it actually is. So, yeah. We have a review for that up on the site as well. Studio 54 is coming out. That's the documentary about Studio 54. Like, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
Knuckleball is coming out. This is another horror film. Light recommend for that one. We also have a review for that up on the site. That is pretty much it for theaters. Let's take a look at VOD. We have The Battle of the Bulge Wonderland, starring Tom Berenger.
I don't know why, but that's funny.
Yeah, looks a little rough. We have A Dangerous Idea, which is a documentary. My Pet Dinosaur, family film about a pet dinosaur.
Nice. All right.
Housewife. Got Sleep No More. That's a horror film, I believe. About a group of students that try to stay up for 200 hours straight.
Well, that's not smart.
Some crazy stuff happens to them. There was another horror film that I saw at, I think, Tribeca that never came out. It was sort of a similar topic where they were trying to stay up for... No, it's not this one. Because this one, I don't know if this is an American film, but the one that I saw was a foreign film.
Oh, okay.
Might have been Spanish. I can't remember. Death Kiss comes out. Extremity. Maximum Impact. Molly. Domain. Painless. It's a movie about a guy who can't feel pain.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Smart Chase, starring Orlando Bloom.
You say Smart Chase?
It's S period, M period, etc.
What happened to Orlando Bloom there?
I'm not sure, man. I don't know. He's been doing a lot of questionable movies lately.
He plays a washed-up private security agent. He has to escort a valuable Chinese antique out of Shanghai.
Yeah, that's straight to Blu-ray, that one. We got those were all for October 2nd. On the 5th,
Jesus.
Yeah. On the 5th, we have Cinemability, The Art of Inclusion. That's a documentary about disabled individuals in cinema in Hollywood.
Is that the one that you should? Is that the poster that you shared?
Yeah, it's got
Yes.
It's got an incredibly bad poster, but we'll have a review for that up on the site. Chris is reviewing that for us. We got Ride. Now, it's interesting because there's two movies called Ride that are coming out very close to one another. This is the one that looks like it's some sort of thriller, maybe about an Uber driver, like a ride one of those services gone wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
The other one is about motocross, I think.
I was hoping the other one was about like a Lyft driver.
That looks like that's it for VOD. Let's take a look at Blu-ray. For Tuesday, October 2nd, we have Wolf Cop, The Wolf Pack. That's both Wolf Cop movies in one package. If you haven't caught up with the Wolf Cop series. I'm just not into that series. Wasn't a fan of either one.
It seems like something that could be so amazing.
Yeah,
Wolf
but
Cop.
it's just
The cop that's wolf. Come on now.
I think it would have been better if they played it straight, but they play it really over the top and goofy. And it feels almost like a Trauma movie or an Astron 6 movie, where it's just so over the top that it's just not my style of humor.
Gotcha.
But if they played it completely straight, I think I would have enjoyed that. We got Sicario, Day of the Soldado. You saw that, didn't you?
I did see that.
You never talked about it on the site. Is this?
Yeah, there's not much to talk about. It's not good.
Okay, so not
the score is really good. The score is great. I love it.
Okay.
But everything else is just meh.
All right. We have the first Purge coming out. Got Leave No Trace.
Been looking forward to that one.
Tales from the Hood 2 coming out.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm guessing that is also going to be on VOD, although I'm not. Don't quote me on that. I'm assuming since it's coming out on Blu-ray that it's also going to be on VOD. But I haven't heard anything about that. Three Identical Strangers. That's a documentary that I've been very anxious to see, and I missed it when it was in theaters. So I'm glad to be able to catch up with that one finally. I heard nothing but great things about that. Bloodfest is coming out.
Yes.
Again, not to be confused with Hellfest, which came out in theaters this weekend. That's pretty much it. There's a lot as...
It's just like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not reading all these.
Like every Halloween season, there is a crap load of re-releases of horror movies. So you have like Halloween, and there's like a Purge box set coming out. Or no, it's the 4K versions of each of the Purge movies. And then you have like the new It movie getting another release.
Okay.
Annabelle Creation getting another release. And then there's like a pack that has both Annabelle films.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So there's a lot of those that we're going to see this October. What do we have on Criterion this week?
We have one Criterion, and that's Cornel Wilde's film from 1965, The Naked Prey.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening. You can send us your questions and topics to feedback@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. If you have a minute, take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse. Consider helping us out by becoming a subscriber. For Kevin Rakestraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.